I see. You think you can just bring anyone on the show with you, huh? Bam, we're
Well,
live.
I asked and you ignored me, so I sent him the invite.
Oh, did you ask? Yeah, good. I didn't. Oh, yes, of course. Bring Facundo, of course.
I assumed that was your answer. Forgive me.
I like the way you've just moved just to the side enough. Facundo framed it so I can just look at Rich the whole show. Rich Senior, that is. What's up?
Good afternoon.
Yes. Oh, are you guys in the same room? Can you guys see each other?
Nope.
Oh, how close are you guys?
I'd say 50 feet.
And separated by like doors and walls and hallways and stuff?
So this used to be our former conference room, and now it's part of the shop. And Brian is sitting on the conference room where actually, generally, you have the podcast with Rich.
Yeah. God, Rich is such a needle mover. Every time he comes on the show, it's just crazy what it does to the show and the numbers. What are they doing a podcast at Mayhem, or they stopped doing that?
They're going to start again. They have stopped doing it last year because we didn't have enough time to do that. That's very time consuming, as you well know, Sevan.
I do, yes.
Yeah. So I think that they're going to start doing it very soon, with your permission.
No, not my permission. Absolutely not. Hey, Facundo, is there good drama around the podcast? Like people like who just like they stand around the door and they're like, maybe I should be on it sometime, or like some guy wants to be on it and no one wants to have that guy on it. Like you just see every time like it's 10 a.m. and Tyler Christophal is standing by the door. So what are you guys doing?
I think that Brian already knows Mayhem very well as to answer that question.
Yeah, are people just jockeying Rich to get on the show? But it's just the him and Ellie show, and it's like, everyone else back the fuck off.
And there's an interesting dynamic here. Everyone has their own the way that they fit in.
Here's what I think. Here's what I would be doing the whole time if I was at Mayhem. I'd be trying to pretend like I was cool, but didn't care where Rich was or what he's doing. But I'd always be within 10 feet of him, but just acting like I don't give a shit. You know what I mean? Oh, Rich, what are you doing here?
I think that we all spend so much time with Rich that we do our own thing. But he's here, and he's a super fun guy to be around with. So when he's here, we enjoy his company. And actually, he has a very structured way. He's having his breakfast in the coffee store every day at the same time. So if you want to run into Rich, to come at that time at the coffee store, and he's going to be there.
Oh, that's cool. I wonder if there's people who've been going there like 3 years and they've never seen him. Like they don't even believe he's real. He's like Snuffleupagus. You know what I mean? Are you sure Rich works out here?
What surprises me is that people, foreigners from Europe or from South America that said, "Oh, we were on the area and we came to see if Rich was around." Oh, really? Where were you? We were in New York, so we drove back down here. Bro, but that's like many hours. Yeah, I know. But, maybe Rich is here, and sometimes he's here. And it's a bit of they get very nervous and stressed instead of going and say, "Hey, Rich, I'm a big fan," or whatever they want to say. Start like, and they don't dare to take the picture and after 10 hours drive. So to ask for a picture at least.
Many years ago, I don't remember what the number was, but it was thousands of dollars. Someone told me that they told the people at their gym that they were going to go to pass by Cookeville. Actually, I think they drove like 90 miles out of the way to Cookeville just to stop at Mayhem, and they had collected money from all the people at their gym to buy shirts. And it was like in the thousands of dollars, and they stopped there just to buy shirts for everyone at their gym. I was like, that is awesome.
That still happens, I think.
Yeah, it's so freaking cool.
That was the last time I was here was 2015, and it was something like that. I actually didn't even really know where Cookeville was in Tennessee, but I was driving from my grandmother's house in Johnson City, which is in the Northeast, all the way across the state to make my way back down to Texas, and I saw a sign for Cookeville. So I was like, you know what? I might as well drop in, see if I can work out there. And I did, and bought a bunch of shirts for my friends. And that was 8 years ago.
Yeah. That's about when I heard the story, and it probably still happens every day. I want to buy stock in Mayhem. in the Mayhem Empire. Is there a Mayhem Empire shirt?
No. I we are working hard. I don't know. I don't think we have an empire.
Empire, yeah, an Empire shirt. Put that. Who designs the shirts? Who can I talk to? You're not the right guy, Facundo.
No, certainly not.
You're too humble for a Mayhem Empire shirt.
Yeah, no, exactly. And I will not be deserving enough. No, Dre Som, our champion, former champion, 2018, no, 19, sorry. He's still the designer of most of our t-shirts. So he's very talented.
I'm gonna DM him.
Yeah, you can. He doesn't have Instagram.
He doesn't?
He doesn't know. I
wow.
Know. He's the only person working at Mayhem that does not have an Instagram account.
I thought that he did have it. I thought they tagged him in something the other day.
Is he a Scientologist or like a Jehovah Witness or Amish? Like, what the fuck's wrong? What's up? What's he doing?
No. I think he's just Dre. You know.
I gotcha. Okay.
No, he's just like that. He's happy.
Manny Serrano. I had a few drinks with Manny in Newport a year or so ago. Facundo, I keep celebrating Argentina and Messier's World Cup. Congrats.
Me too. I mean, it's funny, you know, I was telling Brian the other day, I was in Argentina for the World Cup. And during the match between Argentina and Netherlands, we rented an Airbnb and people up in the floor above us start jumping and the ceiling came down on us. We were sitting watching the match. I can show you a picture. We were watching the match with one of my athletes, and she's from Spain, and she was like, "Oh, that's a weird noise," and it sounded like they move a table right from above, and like 30 seconds later, she started crying, "It's cracking up," and we saw a massive crack on the ceiling, like running through, and we jumped, and I really believe that, you know, I thought, well, this is it, you know, had a great life.
Yeah, let me see the picture.
I need to wear my glasses. Sorry. I mean, I want to be decent for the camera, but I will not be able to see anything without the glasses.
Facundo, okay. 1 year at the CrossFit Games, this is when it was in LA. One of my staff members at the after party got so wow. Let me see that.
So,
holy shit!
I was sitting on the great couch, and Rita was sitting on the sofa. And she started shouting, you know, it's falling apart. And we jumped. I mean, it doesn't look so bad in this picture, but
it looks pretty bad, dude. It looks pretty bad.
When you see a massive crack on the ceiling open, you don't know whether it's the whole building falling on you with people there, or it's just you know, a part of the ceiling. But yeah, thank you for the $4.99. Anyways, Manny.
Jonathan Ortega. Hola, Facundo.
Hola, Jonathan.
What do you think about? I want to tell you the story about Carson real quick, but first I want to ask you this: what do you think about if I see someone and I think they're Mexican, is it okay to say hola to them? Just like just around Santa Cruz, like I'm in Starbucks and I'm like you know, like if I saw like some random guy in Starbucks, I might be like, hey, what's up, dude? Just like just ran. But if I look at him and I'm like, yep, that dude's name is definitely Paco, I should be like, hola.
I think Spanish people are amazing. Latin American people are amazing. I'll be happy if somebody speaks to me in Spanish. So I'm not sure why would somebody get upset to be mistaken with a Mexican. We had half Mexican here this weekend, a guest of our camp. And he's one of my favorite people that I have met recently. And
I think he's going to be a Mayhem athlete someday.
I mean, Brian,
do you guys have an age limit on how old someone can be when they come in? He's going to be old by the time he gets to you. Like, sorry, your window closed. It's like the military. If you're over 25, we don't take you.
No. We had 17 masters this year at the games. We don't do that.
Jason Grubb.
Yet. Yeah. No.
Yeah. Okay. So there was this employee that worked for me, and she got wasted at the after party that CrossFit would throw. I think it was in Carson. I think it was LA. Yes. It was at that Marriott there. And so that night she went up into her hotel room and she started a bath. And she climbed into the bath and she fell asleep in there. And a couple hours later, she hears banging on her door, and it's security. And she had passed out in the bathtub, and the bathtub had overflowed and started draining floors down, many, many floors down. And it was $30,000 damage to her hotel room. I signed off on it. Whatever. It's only 10 affiliate fees for a year. Whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah, just pay that shit. You don't fire someone for that, right? One fuck up drunk in the bathtub.
Oh no, at least you need to have 3 of them. On the
Yes.
4th, then you can considering, but everybody should be free to, Miranda.
No, it was not Miranda. She never worked for me. I don't think she ever worked in the media department. But I think if I worked for Miranda now, I think she'd give me a pass.
So Brian, are you
He's doing
tired?
some media now. I am exhausted. Yes.
He looks a little tired. You know what? I was going to ask him if he's been drinking. His eyes look a little puffy,
I'm exhausted. Yeah. Super tired.
You don't look bad. You just look vulnerable.
I mean, I'm here with two of my good friends, so not upset about that.
Hey, so what happened? Why are you tired? Just working out 24 hours a day?
No, but it was a lot more volume in 4 days than I would usually do.
And it's Saturday there, and it's 3:30 for you guys. 3:20.
2:20.
Okay. And why are you tired? You stayed out late last night and got up early this morning, or?
No, I've gotten a lot of sleep, and but we did, another big workout this morning. Just tired.
The volume here seems to be catching up on Brian.
I thought Facundo was throwing me an alley-oop right there. I thought he was like, Brian, you look tired. Like,
No.
get him, Sevon. No, I'm not even close. No?
He trained. I'm very surprised. I'm very proud of him because he did like 95% of the work we did in the last days. No,
I would say less than that, but
I'm being generous. And he man up, and he's been working up with the big shots here, with the big dudes, with the big girls too, strong girls, and
mostly with the girls.
Mostly with the girls, but strong girls, in any case.
Have you been jumping in with the girls, like trying to keep up with some of the girls?
Yeah, almost all the workouts I would do the women's weights or the women's calories, but in terms of like partner work to rest, some with the guys, some with the girls.
And is there any? Have you beat anyone there in any workouts?
It wasn't really a competitive atmosphere in that regard. At least that's how they communicated it up front. I think some of the athletes were a little bit competitive with each other at times, but my main objective was to make it through all 4 days of training. And I kind of tried to make sure to approach every session and every set within every workout.
Do you think you beat Bailey Rail in any workouts this week?
Maybe on like some of the like intervals on machines.
No shit.
I don't know. It's hard to tell, but I know like on the first conditioning piece we did, I was next to, I think, Brittany Weiss the entire time, and our paces were very similar.
That's good. You must be proud of that. That's crazy.
I mean, I don't know. There's a lot of factors in play, but I'm taller and heavier than the women, so I think on the machines I should be okay.
Yeah, but you're just a normal human.
I'm a normal human. That's right.
Have you gone in the pond over at Rich Seniors?
No, it's very cold here. It's very cold.
Does that pond freeze ever, Facundo?
No, it doesn't freeze, but it gets very cold. Like, to be honest, maybe it does. I'm not sure. I've never seen frozen. But,
maybe I should have gone in there before this to wake myself up.
Well, we still have a couple of hours. It's just 20 minutes drive from here.
Hey, have you played frisbee golf with him, Facundo? With Brian? Have you guys gone out and played any frisbee golf?
He went yesterday. He didn't invite me. He said he was going to work and for a nap, and I was here working, and then he came back and he was with all his,
No, you were hosting that optional skills session, and I thought that was very valuable for some of the athletes. So,
but not for you.
It would have been very valuable for me, but it was 65 degrees. I brought all my discs on this trip, and I hadn't used them yet, so I had to go play.
Did they have a course there?
Yeah, They got a good course.
They do? Yeah, it's a college
Only
town.
one.
Of course they do.
There are a couple 9-hole courses, including one at Tennessee Tech, but this course is just in the park in the northwest side of town.
Oops, Brian looked insulted about. No, he doesn't get insulted. I don't think Brian gets insulted unless. No, he doesn't get insulted really.
Trice is rich son, for those who don't know that.
Yeah, he got beat by a 4-year-old. How old is that kid now? 4, 6, 8?
6.
4.
He's 4.
4. Are you sure?
Facundo, it's official. Roman is part of the Mayhem camp now.
It is official. Roman is part of the Mayhem Athletes family, and we are very happy to have him here. He's been around. He has a tooth infection, so he's a bit struggling at the moment with that. But he came a couple of times, and he's having a great time, and we are very happy to have him here because Roman is a very nice person to be around, to have around, and an amazing athlete. So we are cherishing the time we spend with him here.
Where does he live? Does he live close by? Is he in an apartment? How?
He has he rented a house. It's close by to the. Well, this is not a big city, Cookville. Everything is 5-10 minutes drive, and so he rented a house with his wife, the son, the two dogs, and he the whole time here actually at Mayhem training.
I'm sorry. Did you say 2 dogs?
2 dogs. Yeah.
What? How long has he been in the country?
I don't know how that happened.
How long has he been in the country?
Well, he came here just before the games, maybe in May last year. So I don't know how many months. 12.
He did not get the dogs here. He brought them here.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Are you fucking kidding me? They're Russian dogs?
That's what I've been told.
No shit. How does that? You come from Russia and then you just pack your dogs up and bring your dog. I guess.
I think it was difficult to get him here actually, but it was important to him that he was able to.
They get quarantined.
I can imagine that it was more complicated to get the dogs a visit than Roman, because to get a dog into the States, it's not easy.
Sevon asked Philippe Borowski. Sevon asked Roman to come. Thank you, Mr. Facundo. Sevon asked Roman to come on the podcast. You can ask him about dog. I did, and he was gonna come on, and then he uninvited himself. But I think I think it was just. I think I just have to invite him again, right, Facundo?
For sure, but as I said before, he's even struggling this week with his
tooth.
So he's not doing very well. Hopefully next week is going to be better.
He has a bad tooth. Yeah, it's fine. He wrote back to me in the DMs. He said, I said, well, thanks for responding, and we'll try again later. And he wrote back, no problem. But when I read it in Russian. I hear it in a Russian accent. No problem. Like Ivan, like Drago and Rocky. No, I must break you.
The first morning that he showed up, he walked in and he looked at Facundo and he said, Facundo, I'm ready. Let's go.
Oh, yeah, that's great.
Straight to business.
Ryan.
Yeah, he just comes in and wants to get the work done. He does, many people here take the time, the mobility, they prepare themselves, have their coffee, and Roman is like, okay, let's go. And
the first workout that we did, it was sets of GHDs and rope climbs and wall balls, and it was intimidating watching his pace.
Just being there.
Just what? Yeah, like he was with Agostino Riquelme, and they lapped us.
Jay Crouch had like someone put mushrooms in his food after working out with Roman. You could tell that he was like physically inspired by that team. Between him and Willie Georges, Jay Crouch was like thought he had died and gone to heaven. He really and he told a funny story. Before the show started, Facundo, before the event started, I don't remember who it was. I think it was Brian or John Young was like, dude, Jay Crouch is world class at muscle ups. And then we interviewed Jay Crouch afterwards, and he's like, yeah, I wanted to do we all wanted to do the muscle ups in sets of 5. And Roman's like, no, 10. And they're like, no, 5.
I would say that Roman is a guy that enjoys much more competition than training. You know, I work with athletes who love the process of training, spending time in the gym and talking, and even doing the fitness part. And I feel that Roman is a guy that really does that just for being able to go to compete and achieve what he wants to achieve. It's really, pure work for him. I'm sure that if he could, not come from time to time, he will gladly stay home. And
with the dogs.
With the dogs and his son. Yeah, I mean, I believe it's going to be a good year for him. He feels very well. He feels very happy. He feels that his mind is solely occupied in training and his fitness and his skills. So we'll see. Hopefully this year he shows what he's able to do.
Hey, oh shit, that's great. Wow. Hey, dude, his neck's gonna be hurt. You got to push him up against a wall or something. Is that chair on wheels? Is that poor Patrick Clark? Why is he so tired? Tell him to do this.
He's good. He's all right.
No, he's gonna asphyxiate himself. Hey, how about this, Facundo? Is Ghee there?
He's here.
Oh, man, there did Ghee shit the bed at what happened to Ghee? Did Ghee shit the bed? We were speculating he had a rough day, and then he had a great lift, and then he ended strong, right? He ended strong at Wodapalooza.
Yeah, the second day was really good.
There were these questions that, like, my interpretation, but my interpretation is that
you don't have to sugarcoat it. Go for it. What did they say?
Was he just sitting around doing blow and fucking bitches in Brazil, or what? Like, what was he doing over there? Like, the speculation was that he just came there without unprepared, that he just rolled in off the street, like just scratching his nuts, threw on a shirt, and got in the mix.
Well, not true.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, he was home. He was dealing with some family stuff, some personal issues. Nothing negative, but he was busy doing something else. Life, like everybody else have, and he was still training. Maybe not with the dynamic that we have here, because here we just live for that. So we just train. But sometimes I feel as a coach that it doesn't work like, okay, competition time, 3, 2, 1, go, and then you are at your peak. Some people, get a little bit of time to warm up to the competition mode. I think that the first day he might have felt very inspired. He was not fully healthy, which is not an excuse, but he was not feeling I can give the best of myself today. So I think he was a little bit holding back. And I was thinking he went to bed and he realized, okay, man, I'm here. We better, make it happen, make it work. And he had a very good second day. I think that the handstand hold was a bit of an accident, a problem, but otherwise he would have had quite good overall placements on the second day.
Is 395 a PR clean and jerk for him?
Apparently, yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. And did he express any concern about the environment that he was doing it in? That he was sandwiched between a hard rock and a 8-ball, or a rock and a whatever that is kitchen sink, however that saying goes?
Look, for that, Ghee is very clever. He's very aware of what his body is up to do with a barbell on every given day. So I think he warmed up. He saw where his strength was, and he went for it. And it worked out very well for him.
Very well. The jackasses in the chat where I hang out were like, he can do 4,000 pounds. He should have gone for 400. And I'm like, dude, he just did 395. What did we just sandwiched in between the railing, crowd on two sides of him, and then people lifting all around him? It was kind of environment where Danielle Brandon would punch someone if they got that close to her. You know what I mean? Like while she's lifting.
Yeah. No.
And you would think that Ghee would have some of that, being that he's so good at lifting, like have some sort of crazy ritual or prima donna shit. Nothing can be in his eyesight. And he's just sandwiched in there on the side of the cage doing 395. Were you blown away? I was blown away.
No,
No, okay.
no. But I was blown away with that how he swam. He swam very well. It was a good workout for him. And, I was surprised that he was able to have such a bad day, go to bed and wake up with a complete different mindset and was ready to say, okay, I'm not going to let what happened yesterday, happen today once more, or I need to change my whole thing. And, honestly, it's not very easy to do that. We know of many athletes that go to the games, to whichever competition with a lot of, self-confidence. And after one two events, one bad day, they never recover. And we all said, when things don't go their way, and it is a good skill to be able to, sleep, wake up, change everything, and go and, do whatever you have to do.
I'm trying to find the Wodapalooza leaderboard. Hey, he had to deal with medical the first day twice. We saw medical with him twice. As a matter of fact, after one of the events by the bay, in the alleyway where on the right side of the stage where the athletes come and go, everyone had left, and he was actually just lying in the alleyway, kind of like cockeyed with medical around him. I think I saw someone pour water on his head.
Brian?
I just wanted to work in the word cockeyed, by the way. That was great use of that word. Thank you. Go ahead, Brian. Sorry. Celebrating my word.
I didn't know that, but I know the first two workouts were very difficult, and I think I'm not entirely sure what happened in the first workout, but I think that's physically his body wasn't responding as he was expecting it to. So maybe just wanted to make sure everything was okay. So he got some attention from those guys. That's what they're there for.
No. It wasn't like that. I'm not telling you, he was laying down in a spot where you don't lay down unless you.
Well, that's the first that I've heard of it. So,
okay, back to you, Facundo. Facundo, don't throw ants. Don't throw. He's only 5'6", and you threw him an alley-oop. Brian couldn't dunk that one. He's a 3-point shooter. The pass to the outside.
Yeah. Well, we were happy to have Brian here this weekend.
I'm asking you about fucking Ghee's collapse.
I know.
I know.
I wasn't there. I didn't go to Miami this year. So
you weren't there? Wait, you weren't there?
No, I was not there.
Oh, that's right. You had to choose one, Mayhem or Wodapalooza.
Exactly. So I chose Mayhem, and but I mean, of course,
that was a no-brainer, though, right?
I mean, this is home for me. This is my second home. I enjoy it here very much. Most of my friends are here, and I was very excited to start the 2023 season with this camp with our athletes, to talk to them, to see what they were up to, what their plans were for this year, and to set out some guidelines for the training. And that's what I came to do. And it went, I'm happy on the result.
I can't find I don't even know how to do the leaderboard. I am just a ding dong.
Ask one question. I'll send it to you. You have another question?
I'm here. What is this camp, Facundo? Is this is this time of year always the time of year that you guys do a camp, or is this kind of just like spur of the moment? Like what brought all these people together?
I think it was a good time after Wodapalooza to meet and talk to our athletes and say, well, guys, what are you up to? What are your goals? Some people want to go team, some people want to go individual, some people really want to work with specific aspects of their training. And for us, it's very important to have the space of dialogue with our athletes, and start the season as it should somehow. So it was more like a gathering, like let's meet in Cookville and have a talk. There are some South American athletes that came, Brazilians, Argentinians, from Uruguay, from Chile. As anybody knows, it's my biggest pleasures to be able to the Latin America. Don't break anything, Brian, please. The Latin American CrossFit world. And yeah, so it was just that. It was just a get together and start training for this season.
And is it you let them know a month in advance, like, hey, you guys are going to be here you guys are traveling from all over the world. You might as well, if you can stay an extra 5 days, come out to Cookeville.
Some people came to Wodapalooza, and then it was kind of maybe a right time to say, why don't we spend some days after that in Cookeville?
Right. Okay. And it's not necessarily, so what I'm hearing from you is it's not necessarily a training camp. It's a time for you and the other coaches to get some face time with your athletes.
Exactly.
Okay. I like that.
Oh, boy.
So we're looking at Ghee. He got a 20th, a 36th, a 10th.
Just click on his name.
Oh, I can do that? Shit, I lost him. Okay.
Zoom back out.
He got a 20th, a 36th, a 10th, a 26th, and then a first. And that was at the end of day 1, right?
I think that the first was the first event of the second day.
Oh, okay. And then he got a 36th, a 5th, and a 4th, and a 12th. So all of a sudden he just started kicking ass again. And that 36th, as Brian taught me, doesn't really count in the big scheme of things because he's probably 4 seconds away from 6th, right? Because it was such a short time domain.
Exactly.
So you can't.
No, that's the handstand hold on the parallettes.
Oh, so that was 1.52. That's a second and a half. Poor Ghee.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
It was. I mean,
but still irrelevant, kind of, in judging his health.
If you're looking at the second day of competition and you take the other 4 workouts are certainly workouts that you could definitely see show up in any given competition. And 5th, 4th, 12th, and 1st is a very good day of competition.
All right. And when is Ghee now in? So prior to Wodapalooza, Ghee was in the great country of Brazil, and now is he in at Mayhem for good until the games?
Exactly.
Until semifinals.
Well, because then he has to go back there to compete.
Yeah, I mean, I would assume he'd
would go to Brazil for maybe 10 days, depends on the weather, before Copa Azul, and then he's going to fly immediately back to Cookeville to prepare himself, if that's the case, to the CrossFit Games.
I want to have a very okay, that's great. So we're gonna get another look at him for the Open, and the Wodapalooza was just to knock the rust off of Ghee, some Brazilian rust.
Yes. Yeah, but I mean, look, obviously he'll do the Open in the quarterfinals. He'll go to the semifinal in South America,
and we still won't know how good he is because it's the semifinals in South America.
Yeah, the next big benchmark for him will be the CrossFit Games. He's had 2 top 10 finishes the last 2 years. He took a small step backwards last year in terms of the overall rankings. I don't think he wants to do that again. From the time I've spent with him here, he's been very straightforward about the fact that he's, setting himself up this year to try to focus on the things that he feels have held him back the most. He has a lot of intentional parts of his training that are built towards that. But I don't think we'll really know until the CrossFit Games come around.
Okay. Let's have 3 very honest conversations.
Okay.
Very difficult, but very honest. Okay, here we go. What's the champ's name? Justin. Okay. Number 1. This is the easy one. This one's hard for you guys to be honest about. Then we're gonna have a long hour. Noah fucked that lift all up. He tried for a clean and was it a clean? Oh, he was going for an overhead squat number or
3-rep overhead squat, and I saw him the next day at his gym, and he was still feeling very bad about that.
Yeah, let's make him feel worse for it. What the fuck is going on? That is like one of the most seasoned, capable. That if someone would have told you 6 years ago that guy's going to win the CrossFit Games, no one would bet against it. I mean, he was always a fucking threat. I mean, are you guys? How does that happen? Why didn't he just? What do you think happened that you could be just one of the greatest ever? I mean, he's a top 10 best ever of all time to do it, right?
Sometimes it just happens. I mean, I think he felt very confident with the first lift. When you only get 2 lifts and you miss the first one, things changed quite a bit. And I saw that happen to many athletes over the course of the 12 heats. Some of them ended up backing off to a very conservative number just to get something on the board. And I think he felt confident that with the second attempt that he would get the new weight that he chose. And I quite frankly, I think he was shocked that he didn't.
I think he was totally shocked. He looked like he had seen a ghost both times. He really did. Facundo, what would you tell? Do you, as a coach, do you tell your guy after he fucks up the first 325, even if you've seen him do 375, do you be like, hey, dude, just do 300?
Yeah, no, I mean, I'll try to create situations during the training period in which athlete is able to make clever decisions when that's the case. I mean, I think that these things are spoken before between coach and athlete. But I mean, it happened many times. I remember at the games, Zeban, we used to work together 2014, the swim event, and immediately.
No, you are so far below me then I wouldn't have even talked to you. Don't ever say we worked together in 2014, please.
Yeah, maybe you said, give me coffee. That's fine.
Yes.
Or my coffee's cold. Yes. But there was a 3RM overhead squat event at the game after the swim, and many people felt confident on the first lift, and then they fail all the following lifts. Some people never get a lift. I remember Jordan Trojan just won the swim event.
Oh,
and then
that's right.
Didn't score anything at all, and he kept using the same weight, going up, back, and down with the weights. So
and they got 3 tries, right? Is that what you said, Facundo?
Yeah,
that was crazy. Annie almost fucked that up too, right?
Yeah, and I think that then Rich tied with Fraser, and then he wanted to put 400, and then he failed. But it was,
Was it Fraser or was it Hackenbrook?
No, it was
the three of them were going back and forth. Hackenbrook went for 400 and missed it. Fraser and Froning ended up tying on that event.
I think that it was Jeff Evans actually who was 375 or 7, and then if I remember correctly. But anyways, yeah, I mean, it is important that an athlete face those situations in training. So it comes very natural for him to decide in competition what's the most clever thing to do. But yeah, I mean, it's a pity. And Noah is such a great guy.
Did he give you a reason when you spoke to him, Brian? Like when you said he was feeling bad? Like, did he say my shoulder hurt, or I don't know what happened, or?
I didn't really pursue it. He was, like I said, pretty sad about it. And Facundo, that event, Fraser and Froning had 377 pounds, Hackenbrook 376, Jeff Evans 375.
Yeah. Thank
Crazy. You. Oh, and I remember they were playing that game. They were looking at each other and fiddle. I think Tommy Hackenbrook started it, like fiddling with his weights, like "fuck you guys, I'm gonna get you."
Because he was going first every round relative to them, and he definitely put 400 on the bar and tried to get it overhead, but he was unable to complete the lift.
Okay, fair. Noah, we love you, Noah. Tia Claire Toomey. What a absolutely remarkable human being. We'll never know really who she truly is until she comes on this podcast and let me do a full examination of her with all of my medical tools. But until then, we must speculate. With her gone, what types of things does it do to the women's field? If anything, but I have to assume even the people who are acting like, no, it's no big deal, I'm still going to work my hardest anyway. I'm guess it does something. It has to. Like, she's like, oh, it's open now. It's doable. Especially for someone like Annie. Think of the mindset Annie's in. Annie's like, fuck, man, I can be like, I know she's a 2-time champion, but now with Tia gone, it's like, okay, I really might be able to do this. I just got to deal with Laura and Mal.
Well, one thing that you have actually brought up a couple of times is that if the defending champion or the multiple time defending champion steps aside, it can be encouraging because you can say, okay, there's an open spot at the top, but it can also be deflating because sometimes the pursuit is to try to beat the best, and now the best isn't there. You've been the one who's talked about this in the past. And so now it's like, oh, even if I win this year, would I have won if she was there? Like that.
Oh yeah, we're all gonna say it. By the way, let's just be very clear now. If you win the games this year, everyone's gonna be like, yeah, but if Tia was here, you still get the check, but we're all gonna say.
So mentally, if you're someone, and I would say this is probably more likely the case for someone like Laura, who's been on the heels of Tia for 4 or 5 years now, than Mal, who's just recently entered into the conversation as the two women that seem to be most likely to win this year at this point. That she could, for Laura, Tia might be that thing that she was chasing since 2018, and then to do it again in 2021 and be close, and to think like, am I narrowing the gap? Am I doing everything that I can? And now this year, she doesn't get to answer that question this year. Now she has to refocus and say, okay, the new target is now the only person who beat me last year. And it's a different target than I've been chasing for 4 years. So she has to deal with that shift of a mindset, I think. I think for Mal O'Brien, it's a little different. But I think for pretty much everyone beyond those two, I think it should be very motivating to say like, there's a big chance for me to make a breakthrough in my career this year. And I think that would be the advice I would give to any of them, is to focus more on the opportunity for them personally and not worry about who is or isn't in the competition.
Mr. Facundo, any thoughts?
I agree. I told him everything he knows. No.
Facundo, I'll throw this to it then, the mix. There's two athletes that I think of in particular that when I think of Haley Adams and Danielle Brandon, I think of it for two separate reasons. I think Danielle Brandon probably sees Tia gone. And my thought, just looking from the outside, not that she thinks this way, is her window is not very big and it's fucking do or die. Like at all costs, be the best fucking performer now while this fucking bitch is out of the way, because now is when I got to fucking strike. And for Haley Adams, it's like, wow, I'm the greatest fucking female CrossFitter ever, and no one knows it because I have this fucking hole. And if I can fix this hole and take that spot while T is gone, I might start building my legacy now. And so when I see those two, I get like, I just feel this pressure for them. It's time. It's like, and what do I know? Maybe they've been trying 120% the whole time anyway. Or maybe Haley has a gummy bear habit and it's time to quit. Like she just pops THC gummy bears every night before she goes to bed. And it's like, all right.
Look, the only thing that I can tell you about that is I think, and I hope, and I think that this year people are going to see a very different Haley than the former years. I'm not saying that she has gone much stronger or less strong, whatever, but her overall mindset towards competition and to herself and her achievements has changed for the better. And I think that will have an effect on her performance at the games this year. Just a personal appreciation on her work so far this season. So I'm looking forward to see her. But on the other hand, I think that there are a couple of athletes that they are not very well known that have a chance this year to show, a great performance and be in the top 5, top 10 of the CrossFit Games. And we've been talking with Brian every single time. I'm taking Brian every day to Cracker Barrel for breakfast. He's been having a lot of calories, like a lot.
You think you're manipulating him like he's an outside, he thinks you guys are friends, but you just see him as an outside journalist and you're just manipulating him to write nice things about your athletes? Is that what I hear?
He doesn't. He doesn't. I wish. I think that Brian is far too honest for that. I'm not going to replicate, but yesterday he said to reach something that I would not have dared to say in his face. Was it like that autistic gene in Brian that said it, or does Brian know that he's pushing Rich, or is it just some little lack of social awareness, or both? I cannot repeat it, but
why not? What did you say to him,
Brian?
I think it was a private conversation, but Rich appreciates authenticity. He doesn't want you to bullshit with him.
That's true.
So if he doesn't agree, he'll let you know he doesn't agree. Maybe it's just a look that he'll give you, but he's not going to be upset if you're being honest.
All right. If you say so.
By the way, I told Rich that I was coming, and he says to say hello to Josevan.
Oh, thank you. Did he really say that?
He really said that, yeah.
Okay, I'm going to make a note.
He did really say that.
Rich said to say hi.
You just made his day, Facundo, whether it's true or not.
Yeah.
Look at that smile. He's like a 5-year-old kid. I'll say something really superficial here too, which is very unlike me.
There's this thing about Danielle and Haley. I'm looking for the comment. Someone said, holy shit, if Danielle won the CrossFit Games, can you imagine what that would do to her star power? Those two women right there can transcend the space in a way that we haven't seen other women do it. Haley Adams and Danielle Brandon. I don't think people realize yet that we're staring at, and I apologize for anyone who's going to get mad at me for this, but Haley Adams is a supermodel. She got a supermodel face. She got the big old fucking eyes and just that young look. And like, if she starts if they discover her outside the space, man, hang on, she is going to fucking catapult. I think it's pretty obvious when you're around them, Brian. What are you tripping? Like, is it different than watching them on TV? Like on TV, we watch Bailey Rail and Christy O'Rama O'Connell, and they just look like these skinny little girls, right? But when you're around Bailey Rail, she's not, right? You're like, oh, this is a fucking powerhouse, or no?
I mean,
she got like traps and shit, right? And like
the women. I mean, I've spent time around the top athletes to appreciate how big or not they actually are, but it's different when you see them training over a period of a couple of days than when you see them competing. And especially when you watch a competition, like I'm looking at so many different things that it's difficult for me sometimes to hone in on the details here because there's just the way that the training is set up. There were times that not everyone was able to go at the same time. So a group of us would go and then another group would go. And so I'd really be able to watch some of the athletes a little bit more closely and get some information about just nuances in the way that they approach workouts. And, if I'm being honest, like, no, Bailey does not seem to be that big. She's actually quite impressive.
Looks like, she kind of looks like a bikini model sometimes when you see her.
Yeah,
and then she's fucking deadlifting 400 pounds and you're like scratching your head. What?
Exactly.
Say it again.
Then when she starts throwing a sandbag or a barbell around, it's totally different story.
Yeah. I can't tell because my baseline's all fucked up. Like just from being around CrossFit girls so much. Like people will be like, stop my wife and ask her about her arms or what she does. And like, I just don't see it. You know what I mean? Cause I watch Wodapalooza for 2 weeks. It's like do you think that sometimes, Facundo, your baseline for what the human body should look like has changed in the last 5 years, 10 years?
Yes. I mean, it's very complicated. I mean, Bailey remains kind of a slender girl.
Yeah.
She's very, very strong and very powerful in her movements too, and so, but also Bailey is a very technical girl. So she uses a lot of a technical approach to manage weight. So therefore, it's not just I'm strong and I'm lifting something from the floor the way comes naturally. She just is very technical, and so she uses that for her benefit. So but yeah, she remains, I think that in an average body of a CrossFit girl, she looks very slender, very, very, I need to be careful with the words here. No, I think
I know slender's right. Slender's fair. You were going to say petite, but she's obviously not petite. No, just for a CrossFitter.
No, she's a tall girl. She's a beautiful girl. She's also.
Oh, she was a collegiate golfer. Holy shit. Got to get her on the show. You think she'd come on the show?
If Brian,
she hasn't been on the show, right?
If Brian asks her, I think there's a chance.
All right, good. We'll use Brian like that. We'll double your pay this month, Brian. What about Paige Powers and Bailey Rail's relationship? I'm getting Paige and I were talking about how she's a little bit under Bailey's wing and that Bailey's very nurturing to her and maybe even motherly to her. Goes back and forth between motherly and sister. Have you witnessed that, Brian or Facundo, or do you see that?
In terms of training, they seem to be inseparable. They thrive off of each other. Have got plenty of chances to watch them. And I was just even talking with Paige earlier today. I mean, she has a way about her of making things that I know are difficult for her look relatively easy. She moves very well, rope climbs very efficient, sandbag very efficient, rowing. Those three in particular that I got to see over the last couple of days. But everything she does is excellent, but it doesn't look exceedingly difficult. It was actually quite impressive.
Oh, they are very good friends to start with. They've been working here together for working out together for more than a year, and they spend a lot of time. And I think that Paige benefits from the experience of Bailey. Bailey went to the games as a team member before, so she's been around for a while now, and she's a very clever girl. And I think that Paige profits from her friendship and the experience of Bailey, but also Paige in terms of strength and quality as a competitor. She's starting to be a very well-rounded athlete. So strength-wise and performance-wise are quite different, but they work out very well together, and and you can see the level of friendship, companionship they have throughout the day.
Noah, Tia, Justin, we've arrived. Justin is starting to get dominant, right?
In what regard?
He wins.
In terms of winning, yeah, he's one of the four. I mean, you could say five if you include semifinals. Big events that he's done in the last 2 years. Obviously, 2 years ago he did not win at semifinals, but since then he's won every competition he's entered. But he has not won in a dominating fashion. So there's a little bit of a nuance there.
If you win, you bunch of fucking ding dongs. The only reason why I sent Rich a link is because CrossFit Mayhem said to send Rich a link. That's God damn it.
Oh, maybe.
That's the only reason. The rest of you ding dongs, don't tell me what to do. It's my show. Is he like people like after he wins events? There's all these pundits who are like, well, if he barely won, or if the judge, or this or that. Like there's all these ways that Ricky could have won, or Roman could have won. But the truth is like that we're seeing glimmers of Rich Froning.
Oh, wow.
Hey, thanks for coming dressed appropriately. I appreciate it.
Oh, hey, guys. I thought you were coming to help fix fences.
Look at that.
No?
Rich, I got a question for you.
What's that?
What has Brian been offensive at all? By the way, that lighting behind you with the light behind you to make you seem angelic, I know what you did. You weren't even working on the fences. They're like, Rich, put these fucking gloves on. We're going to build your brand right now.
That's why you have media people.
And thank you whoever's holding the phone.
It's Scott.
Scott, you get Scott, you get 5% of anything we make while Rich is on. Rich, did Brian say anything offensive while he's been there?
I don't know if I can say it. he told somebody that it would be better off for them to train with a different crew than us.
Wow. Holy shit. I didn't even expect that.
Yeah.
Like you're overtraining them, or
they had a smaller window to train with said group than with our group.
Incredible. And I know this is a very sensitive topic, so I'll be very delicate in how I handle this. Was it a boy or a girl?
Female. We needed a team member.
Wow. And he said this, and you overheard this, or
No, he offered it up apparently.
Hey, maybe it was a trade? Was it a trade? Was he going to send someone from the team that he was suggesting this person go to, send someone also back to Mayhem Empire?
Brian, do you want a rebuttal?
Rich, I know you would much prefer a person who's willing to say things behind your back that they would also say in your face. I would never want to say something about someone that I wouldn't also say if they were around.
I'm just giving him crap. No, Brian's been great. He's a good dude to have around. He's jumped into every workout, minus one that had too much time between today. He said he didn't want to hurt himself, which I respect too. So letting that ego go. He scaled everything appropriately, numbers wise, to hit the stimulus. And now, I mean, he's about as smart as they come with his analytics, but also with with his fitness. So good dude to have around.
Scott, Rich looks young out there. Are you using a filter?
It's that golden hour.
Golden hour.
Rich, what are you doing? Why can't you make Scott do that? Like, what are you doing right now?
We are putting insulators on the fence. We have a couple of Hillary's Highlands that like to venture out pretty regularly. And so today when they try to venture out about 4 or 5 o'clock, they're going to get met with a little bit of a little jolt of electricity.
Okay, so explain to me. So when you say an insulator, that's a wire that's not normally there.
So the wire, so if you look here, the wires are metal. And instead of coming in contact with his metal T-post, there's a little plastic piece here.
Okay.
Dad's going through on the wood and putting an insulator on the wood as well.
Okay, so that the poles won't be get the electrical charge.
Yeah, or it won't short it out. Coming in, or are you staying over there?
It's not gonna kill me.
Hey Scott, is that just an iPhone you're holding?
Yeah, it's just my phone.
Oh, that's pretty good.
Yeah. Would we interrupt? You guys can continue talking.
Well, I'm just curious. So we talked about Noah's disaster. The three things that I wanted to bring up was Noah's disaster at the event.
Okay.
Hey, what do you think happened there? Let's get your 2 cents. What would you have done if you had 2 lifts, Rich? You had 2 attempts at that overhead squat. He did 325. And what would you have done?
I mean, the hard part is at any of these events, you warm up at whatever weight, and then you've got to wait another 30 or 45 minutes. So you got to be smart and at least get a lift in. But it's also hard because you want to put on a show. So I actually hate when they only give us 2 or 3 lifts. Like if you guys, like, especially an off-season event where it's really about the show. It's not about, we're not trying to find the fittest. Let them lift, give them 10 minutes to get as heavy as you want. Like people want to show. I think sometimes we get too cute with what we're doing and want to make it about us, the programming teams. And so, yeah, I mean, he screwed up, but it is what it is, like.
So that's interesting. You're an athlete, and kind of you see it really. Even though you've thrown events, you're giving a strong athlete and fan perspective, which is like, hey, why not just give them 10 minutes, and let the guys work and put on a show.
Yeah, like that's really what we're about, especially an off-season event. We're not, like I said, we are trying to find the fittest or best at CrossFit, but it's really like, if it's not fun for spectators to watch, then what the hell's the point in doing it? We're not going to be able to keep doing it,
Right, and if you would have given him a third lift and he put up 325 the next time, it's like, yeah, of course he did.
Give him 5 or 6 minutes. Like, is it that big of a deal to give, make it a 15-minute event? Each person has 5 minutes to get as many lifts as they can. So,
what did you think about Ghee's 395 clean and jerk?
That kid's just something special, man. He's strong. It just looks good, Like I've seen some other 395s from CrossFitters that don't look as pretty.
Yeah, we didn't even see where his limit is, right? We weren't like, oh, that was close. We're like, oh shit.
Well, that's the same thing, Like they had 2 lifts, or no, I guess they did have some time to kind of keep going up. No,
barely though. It was weird. It was weird.
So
it was weird.
I mean, you want to see Ghee hit 400 or 395? Like give him some time, and I don't know. I just have mixed opinions on all that, really.
What did you think about the proximity of all those guys lifting so close? Do you like that challenge, or do you think it's also a little weird? I thought it was weird.
It's a disaster waiting to happen.
Okay, good. Me too. That's what I thought.
Yeah, no,
I'm okay with it from a fan's perspective. I kind of want to see like Ghee tip over and it go into the crowd.
Yeah, that would look real good for us, right?
I mean, I would have a fucking blast. That shit would go viral. My video would triple in views, but yeah, it does look a little sketchy.
Yeah, man. We got to start being smart about that, especially like the lifting and not being able to lift for 40 minutes and then asking somebody to go to a 1 rep max, because they're going to want to, one, you want to put on a show, one, you want your teammates, you want the best for your teammates. And so you probably pushed a little harder than you should have. And, it is what it is.
And then we talked about Tia being gone, how that's going to affect the women's competition. And I guess, pardon me?
It's going to be awesome to watch.
Do you think that changes people's mindsets? Like anyone who wasn't giving 100%, only 98% knows that this is the year to tighten everything up?
I don't think anybody out there was only given 98%, but
okay.
I think it'll be cool to see like there's going to be a little bit more. I mean, not that anybody was, like you're saying, half-assing it or anything like that, but I don't know. It's just going to be fun to watch.
Scott, you're a media guy.
Scott's the media guy.
So let me ask, why have you chosen portrait over panoramic?
I don't know. You just click the link. Oh.
Rich, please. The media guys are talking, Rich. Stay in your fucking lane,
I
please.
can't even figure out how to get this camera flipped.
Oh, all right.
To be fair.
Okay. I'll go easy on you, Scott. I want you to lose your job while your boss is there.
Nah, Scott won't lose his job.
I actually can't.
Scott will go any and everywhere without any complaining whatsoever. Scott has a job as long as he wants a job.
He's a good dude. Scott, what's your last name?
Vanderslut.
Oh yeah, we met before. You were in the car.
Yeah, that's right.
I only know you by your last name. I'm very formal.
That's the only way Facundo knows me too.
And then Rich, the last thing we would just embarked on was there's these guys who are just really good at CrossFit.
Yep.
And they just find a way to win every fucking year.
Yep.
And there were these two guys in particular who just found a way to win.
Matt Froning and Rich Fraser.
Yes, exactly. You've heard of them?
Heard of them.
And I'm like, is that what we're seeing in Justin? Like, has Justin just found the way to win? I mean, not just. Is he not only a great CrossFitter, but he finds the way to win?
Yeah, it's impressive. I think there's a lot, especially earlier days, it wasn't. Everybody tried to say, oh, I'm just staying within my lane and doing that. And so I think me and Matt were kind of the first two to like, it's a sport, it's a game. You're playing a game. There's different things you're doing, different strategy things you're watching. And I think Justin's kind of figured that out and learned it pretty early and has done an incredible job with that. I mean, he's fit, he's well-rounded, he's not going to hit any home runs, but it's been great.
Yeah. Can you teach someone that? Could you teach Roman that or
I think
so.
Yeah. It just really depends. Like, I don't actually know Justin's sport background. I mean, I just learned a ton through playing sports, and I always preach that to kids. We talked about it this morning. Like, there's just so many intangibles you get by playing sports, like team sports, whatever it is. That's what I think you're going to see and miss with some of these younger CrossFitters is none of them really played or did high school sports. And so I hope we don't lose that. And I mean, that's one of the things you're supposed to do is go learn and play new sports. So I think it can be learned. It might be tough, for somebody that's never competed in anything other than CrossFit, but we'll see.
Yeah. Awesome. All right. Well, I know you guys don't get a chance to talk to Rich very often. Do either of you have a question for Rich? Or?
I really thought they were going to be up here helping us, but I guess not.
I'm waiting for his message saying that dinner's ready.
Uh-huh.
All right, buddy. Thank you, Rich. You the man. Thanks for coming on, dude. Good luck with the fence. When do you turn it on, the electricity?
Once we get all these insulators on.
Will it be today?
Yeah, probably, hopefully.
And will someone get shocked by it today?
I'll send you a video if they do.
Please. Please.
All
hey, right. How many minutes are you away from getting it turned on?
It's probably about an hour or so.
Oh, we won't be on then. Okay. It would have been great live to have Scott to keep his job. He's got to no, have Scott touch it.
Yeah.
No, I'd send a cow into it.
All right.
Perfect. Bye. Later, guys. Thank you. Scott, you demand. Thanks, brother. What a fucking special podcast that you get to watch Rich Froning build a fence.
I mean, what do I do now? I have to go cook. I don't know what I have to say.
For Richard Wythe, for Facundo being so patient.
Oh, thank you. Well, yeah.
Touching to hear Rich acknowledge Justin, right? Like even in that subtle way, like he acknowledged him as like, yeah, he's figuring it out, and at a very young age.
Well, I mean, I think that's what we were about to get around to, and you were alluding to it. if you look at the way that Rich went about winning and the way that Matt went about winning, they look a little bit different on paper. Rich realized, like he was saying there, that this is a sport, it's a game, and my objective is to win the game. And he always seemed to find a way to do that. I think that his performances at the CrossFit Games really replicate someone who came from a sports background, where a lot of times the best teams or the best athletes are able to turn it on at the end of the game in the fourth quarter. And that's when they make the big difference and pull away from their closest competitors. And that's what he always did. That's why Rich on Sunday is a thing. Matt had a different mentality. He was sick of losing. And even after he won, he didn't seem to be happy because he hadn't won very many of the workouts. And he wanted to win more and more of those workouts. And so you saw the other kind of dominating performance, which is big margins and locking up the victories earlier in the competition. Justin, whether it's because the caliber of the field is better, or maybe he doesn't, as Rich alluded to, have the home run potential that those two guys did. I mean, Matt's numbers are a little bit skewed, but 29 event wins in his career. Rich has 16 in his career. And then there's a big drop off. The next closest guy in their entire career, win the games or not, is 8. So if you're not a guy,
who's that, Brian?
Josh Bridges.
Okay. Wow.
And there are more women than men that are over 10 events wins, but if you can't win 2 to 4 events every year, then you have to find a way to be really, really good. And Justin's the one who's been able to do that. The things I've written about him since he's won the second time are highlighting that it's consistency and it's a lack of execution errors that have separated him from his closest competitors. In some cases, we have guys coming up this year, particularly Roman and Ricky, who I think have not reached their ceiling yet. And that they'll build off the confidence that they got from their experience at the games this year and some of the stuff they've learned at the off-season events they've participated in, where if Justin's able to fend those two guys off again next year, then we're talking about something that's, in my mind, very, very impressive. It won't take away from what he's already done if he can't. But I think that he's dealing with two guys right now who are in the primes of their career and building on that, both mentally and physically, and that Justin will have to take another step forward in pretty much every way if he wants to win a third one this season.
Do you agree with that last statement, Facundo, what he said?
I do agree.
Yeah.
100%. Actually, I told him that 5 minutes ago. He's just repeating my words.
Hey. When I hear Rich say that it's a game and it's a sport, and I played sports and like you have to figure it out, and like just so you guys know, for me, I don't have no fucking clue what he's saying. Like that's so abstract. I know he knows what he's saying. But like for me, I just have to be like, okay, Rich. But like, I didn't play any sports. I don't even really know what he's saying. It's just some abstract idea that like, okay, there's something more going on here than just being the best at working out.
I think that I always think about it honestly, and I always realize my idea is it was always very natural for Rich to be the competitor he was. He didn't have to change his life enormously in terms of lifestyle and whatever other elements just to be whoever he was. He was not following a specific nutrition back then. He was eating what he felt. He didn't have a coach for many, many different things like people do have now. And, Rich would prepare himself, go compete, finish, go back home, have a pizza, watch a movie, and that was it. And, there was a time maybe the sport was pretty much like that. I think that nowadays, people are, which is fair too. It's not so natural because the demands are so extreme now that you need to be able to go out of your normal lifestyle, whatever, to be able to abide to those. Right. So I think that Rich's season like this, it was very natural for him to do what he was doing. It was very natural for him to train the way he was training, and he's a natural-born competitor. So nothing changed pretty much for him when he was doing that. He was doing it with a lot of, very well how he did what he did.
This is an interesting question, off topic a little bit, but since he paid money, I must ask it. Homer Simpson for €5. Sevon, did you start the carnivore diet? I done it before and I really liked it. And I think in the month of March, I'm going to try just to eat a steak every night or a couple steaks and water. I'm gonna try eating a steak every day at 6 o'clock. I think my wife said she'd help me do it. So I'm gonna. And then, what does Facundo think about the carnivore diet? Facundo.
Do you want to say something about my breakfast, Brian?
Facundo.
He likes having steak and eggs for breakfast. Side of sweet apples.
Okay. So he's a fan of it. Hunter McIntyre was saying that that's a great way to get lean. Eat as much meat and apples. Just eat apples and meat.
I mean, we're talking about fried apples, which is not maybe the same apple that Hunter meant.
Oh.
But I am from Argentina, and our diet there is mainly, a lot of meat.
Sarah said, Rich just made a video the other day where I saw him eat a Chick-fil-A. He didn't pig out on it, but he had a little Chick-fil-A.
He loves Chick-fil-A. Yeah. I remember the first time I came here, he told me, "Hey, bro, I invite you for dinner." And I thought, well, we're going to a nice restaurant. I said, "Just follow me with the car." And I was following him. We went to the drive-in of Chick-fil-A. And he said to the microphone there, "Just get whatever the guy behind me wants, and I'll pay for it." And that was the first dinner. Each of us in our car eating Chick-fil-A.
And Brian, you had Chick-fil-A already?
They provided Chick-fil-A at the end of the athlete camp last workout today.
God, that's so nice. Was there sauce?
They had Chick-fil-A sauce and honey mustard sauce available.
Good. That shit's unedible without the sauce. It's too dry. It gives me cotton mouth.
Guys, I will have to leave you because I do have to do a shooting myself now from something that we are working on.
A shitter? You have to go to the shitter?
Shooting? I can shoot something like record.
Oh, shoot.
Yeah.
Shoot something.
No.
Okay.
But
I have to shoot something too.
No. And but anyways, thanks for having me, Brian. Call me when you're done. So we go for dinner. Play again. Brian, wait for that. Sevan, thank you very much. And the next time, if you want, we can make a tour through Mayhem so people see what it really actually, because you asked about the rooms and so on.
I would love that.
Okay, let's do that next time.
I would love that.
You gotta set aside a couple hours. It's a big place.
All right, Facundo, very nice seeing you. Thanks for jumping on.
Thank you very much, guys. Have a nice day.
Thank you. Bye. Hey, that's gonna make a great clip.
Which?
Some clickbait shit. What does Rich think about Justin Medeiros? Yeah, Justin Medeiros. Man, I need some fucking sleep. My brain is not working. I need some sleep. It's just the two of us. Okay, so how did you end up at Mayhem? What happened? So you were at Wodapalooza, and did you know when you went to Wodapalooza you were going to go to Mayhem?
Yeah.
I told you could bring Patrick Clark on. I didn't mention Facundo.
Should we? I apologize. I guess we could trash the episode.
I'm just fucking with you. Facundo needs to drop a deuce. Yeah. How did you end up? How did you end up?
I don't know necessarily what the conversations are like between all those guys, but Facundo contacted me last summer actually and asked me if I wanted to come up here while like the 13 or 15 games athletes plus their teams were training for the games. And between his kind of life schedule and mine, we just couldn't make it work. And he said, that's okay. We'll find another time. And then, I don't know, 4 to 6 weeks ago, he told me about this, that they would be having several athletes come here following Wodapalooza for a little training camp and to get some, FaceTime with the coaches, some of their athletes that are around the world and offsite that would be in the United States. Obviously, they have a lot of athletes here on site as well. But I knew that it would be tough because it'd be back-to-back trips. I mean, by the time I get back to work on Monday, I will have been gone 12 days. And
wow. That's a long time.
Yeah. And I don't necessarily like asking off that many days in a row from work. So I spoke to my boss there and he's like, yeah, man, that's a great opportunity. Like, you got to take that. So he was very generous in that regard. I said, Facundo, yes, I would love to come, and didn't necessarily know what I was getting into on a training side or a media side. I didn't know all the athletes that would be here, but I just came with an open mind and tried to embrace the experience.
There's this just crazy lack of pretension from these people.
What do you mean?
Notoriety is a hard thing to deal with because you start to act different. It's like when I am not, when this camera goes, when I hit the go live button, this isn't like I sense a different Sevon than the Sevon that's will go away as soon as I hang up. You know, and those people, and what I guess that change in me is it's like a little bit of pretend. It's a little bit of what I don't. Let me look up this word before I fuck it up. Everyone's just so there's a comfortability. Go ahead.
I mean, I'll just say this about being here, that it's,
pretentious. Attempting to impress by affecting greater importance, talents, culture. Yeah. Like there's a piece of me that's trying to, sit up straight, even if it's a subtle sit up straighter, not breathe through my mouth, bring some energy, even if it's fake. Like, but I never get that. Like those people have been in the spotlight so long at Mayhem. You don't get that. You don't feel that from them. If they're doing it, they're so good at it, especially Rich, right?
I think it all stems from him, is that he's very authentic. Like the way he interacts with his family, with his dog, with his training, with the other, athletes that are around here and have been around here for a while. Nothing's forced. Everything's just kind of natural. And I think that there's definitely a level of respect that everyone has for him and the culture that he's created. But because of those characteristics that he has, everyone feels a little bit more comfortable just being their authentic self too. And I genuinely think he wants people here that are that way, that are not, like he doesn't want the person here who's going to always be 10 feet away from him, pretending that they don't know they're 10 feet away from him.
Right. Well,
That's
I would
you.
do it. I would do it so good he wouldn't even know. Hey, and I've heard them say. I think I've heard Rich say stuff like, one of the reasons maybe why he's a homebody and one of his things he's most proud of about the Mayhem Empire is that it's people with like values. And
yeah, one of the elements of the camp this week, they had Jim Hensel come in and do a little. I talked about what Mayhem mindset is and how he got involved with that here. Funnily enough, he doesn't really like the word mindset. He prefers mental conditioning. But I personally have had a big eye-opening year this year in terms of how critical, well, I like that term actually, mental conditioning is for athletes in CrossFit, because there are some athletes here that I've gotten a chance to talk to that I haven't known too well, and they know, like, they remember small things that made a big difference in their last competition, whatever it was. And what you do when those things happen in competition is critical in terms of, in some cases, their entire career in this sport. So what Jim has been able to do here and build up with Rich first, and then many of their other athletes, is address life circumstances, figure out what the most important values and identities and routines, those are the things that he talks about, in their life are, so that they're capable of dealing with maybe unexpected or less than optimal circumstances on the competition floor. And he thinks that if you're not really dialed in outside of that you're going to have a lot more difficult time dealing with those circumstances in competition.
Yeah. Sitting through that, have you had any insights about your own life? Like in that short time there, being with all these great people, are you like, oh, these are some things I'd like to tweak? Have you tweaked some thought? Have you been moved by the experience?
I feel really fortunate that I had some struggles early in my life that forced me into that environment when I was, 19 through 23 or 4 years old. I think that time can often be a time that young men in particular stray far away from their values and identities, and then they have to come back to it. During that time is when I really sought out trying to have some guidance and then understanding what that meant for me. And I think it's allowed for me to deal with difficult circumstances, not necessarily in a competition setting, but just in my life in general over the last decade or so. And having that little conversation there, or hearing him have that conversation with us, was I kind of I'm thinking, it might be a good time for me to check back in with some of those things that I learned and had applied to my life a decade or so ago, and see how I feel about them now, or if maybe there are some things that I would like to reevaluate in terms of my most important pillars for trying to live a good life, or values.
You have those like thought out?
Yeah, I spent maybe 5 years what I call gathering or accumulating information, and then decided that I wanted to do something with it, synthesize it into something that made sense for me, that was succinct and impactful. And so I did that. It was, I don't know, 2012 or 13, and have been basically trying to apply those principles since then.
Do you have it written down?
It's written somewhere, yeah.
It's formalized like that.
Yeah.
Have you ever shown it to anyone?
Yeah, but not very many people.
Anyone you're not related to?
Yeah.
Anyone with a vagina?
Yep.
Wow. Has anyone come up to you while you're at Mayhem? That's just a little bit of foreplay of a podcast that Brian and I have coming up. Everyone settle down. So everyone get back in your seats. Everyone was like getting out of their chairs for a second, standing on their chairs. Has anyone come up to you, Brian, and been like, "Hey, I didn't appreciate you putting me at this ranking," or "Hey, I heard what you said about me"? Okay, and if someone has, or some of them, you're like, "Fuck, I don't even remember what I said."
Patrick's here, as you know, and he has been going around and talking to many of the athletes while we've been working out or in between sessions, and he's asked them questions along those lines. I know he was telling me that he had, and showed me some of the stuff last night. So maybe we'll have some content in regard to that to put out there at some point.
Is it that what Rich was saying about you? You told an athlete, "Hey, this might not be the best environment for you." Did you really say that to an athlete?
Not that it wouldn't be the best environment. That I thought in this case that person had two really good options, and for me,
so you're
I feel
poaching
like,
people from the Mayhem Empire to other camps, kind of. You're a poacher.
no.
Oh.
I mean, it's very easy, So like coming here and training with these 24 athletes or whatever, I could easily, now I have the proximity bias that we often talk about, where if you spend time all the time training with Ricky, you think he's the best in the world. But if you just spent the same amount of time training with Roman, you probably think he's the best in the world. Right. And same thing with Pat, and same thing with Brent, and same thing with whoever these athletes are. Well, so I could come back from here and just move everyone that I've spent this time with up 5 to 10 spots on my power rankings because I just spent 2 weeks with them. But that would be me assuming that all these other people that I thought were slightly better than them before have been doing nothing for this period of time, which is obviously not true. On the other side of that, there's some athletes here that I spend time with, and then I realize the things that have been holding them back, they're not even physical things. It might be a mental thing. And then I also have that Mayhem mindset class. So I know, well, if they're here more regularly, they may have more opportunity to address those things. And perhaps the season could end up being a lot different for them, not necessarily because of the training, but because of some of the other things that Mayhem offers here. In the case of this particular situation, I had not spent any amount of time training in either of those environments. And so I was coming at it with a blind perspective, or double blind perspective in that regard. And I thought that there might, like Rich said, I thought there might be a more limited opportunity for the alternative option than for training at Mayhem. I feel like Mayhem has established a very consistent thing here, and that even if Rich is, never competes again, that he still will have a presence here and will continue to build a community here, that there will be an opportunity for people to come train here. In terms of
wait, there's no audio. Wait, what? What? No, you can't lose both. Oh, good. I hear just fine. Thank you. Kenneth, are you up to speed on the show though? Maybe something happened. Maybe you're back. Are you up, Kenneth? Say yes if you're it's back. God damn it. Okay, sorry. Okay, go on. Yeah. So you were talking about Rich, and regardless, you think this will be a place for athletes to change regardless of his status.
Yeah, and I mean, if Rich retires from competing in CrossFit, from what I've been able to gather this week at least, it doesn't seem like he's not taking an interest and investment in the Mayhem athletes that are a part of their community. Like he wants to continue to have an influence on them, on their teams that will be competing, on the individuals, especially that are here on site. And in some ways, now that I'm thinking about it, that might even be more valuable because he will, he'll have a one less distraction in terms of his own competitive pursuits for a year, that he can invest a little bit more in some of the, top athletes, whether they be team or individual, that are here with him every day.
God, it sure would be fun to know what that looks like.
Yeah. And it's, and I think about like Matt Fraser has made a very clear decision to remove himself from competition and enter into the realm of coaching.
Right.
What I've seen here with Rich is that even though he doesn't necessarily declare himself as a coach, is that he is coaching in some regards the athletes that are here. And it might be really subtle, and it might be really short cues or commands or observations, but he's watching what's going on. It's I don't really know if he was watching me or not this week, but I heard what he said about me is that I made good decisions in terms of scaling options to find the intended stimulus, which is what I was trying to do. The fact that he said that makes me think that he is in fact being observant of everyone who's training here this week in maybe a more...
You were observant of his observance.
Yeah, and he's paying even a little bit more attention than I realized.
I was going to ask you, I got so excited that you were being observant about his observance. Everyone just take a deep breath and let my mind settle.
It's never a bad idea.
Oh, here it is. I got it. I enjoy the parts where I forget what I'm going to say and it gets really uncomfortable. It's my show. There'll be as much silence as I want. This is an athlete camp of sorts. Is it also a media camp of sorts? Are there other people there besides you and Patrick Clark from the outside world?
No.
Just you. You were the only observer. So, okay, so this isn't some sort of like, okay, guys, we're going to let the ding-dongs in for a week. Everyone, like, make sure you flush the toilet and, like, don't piss on the seat. It's just you and Patrick.
Yeah, and I asked if Patrick could come because I knew that he would be able to help me out a lot in terms of telling the story about what happened here. Because, he has a lot of equipment and he's good. Like I said, he's pretty good at talking to the athletes and having some good conversations with them. And I would say that's not necessarily my best skill set.
And both of you work for Barbend.
Yes.
So it's kind of a slam dunk, no-brainer. He was your homeboy back at the Morning Chalk Up.
Yeah, we've worked together for several years now.
Okay. So it makes sense. And so you were going to Mayhem and you're like, yo, Patrick, you want to come? But it's not some sort of like media. There's not a media.
I asked Facundo if it would be okay.
Okay. And so you asked Facundo, but this is not like some sort of media event thing too.
No, Mayhem's media was out there capturing a lot of good stuff. They said they'd have something coming out middle to end of next week, which I'll be excited to see. And other than that, and Patrick only came here. He got here Friday morning. So he's been here about half the time that I was here.
And in that same way that you said, hey, I'm going to be in Mayhem. Let me know if you want to do a podcast. So in the same way that you asked if Patrick could be here, you asked if I could be here.
Yep.
Very good, dude. You weren't, you're okay. All rising tides float all ships. You weren't afraid that Patrick and I were going to steal your thunder.
Not at all.
Oh, you're a good dude. Shit. All right. How many articles do you think you're going to write from this? 1, 2, 3? You've been inspired to write some stuff?
Well, I put that poll up on Instagram yesterday. Did you see it?
No.
I asked if I should write an article about my time here. There were 1,166 votes for yes and 46 votes for no.
For what? For what?
If I should write an article about my experience in Cookeville.
Oh, anyone who said no is a moron. That was he didn't really care what your answer was. That was an IQ test, and 48 of you failed. Sebon, in all seriousness, it's pretty cool that Rich continues to come on here. You're telling me. And along with his crew, he wouldn't do it if he didn't like you and your team. Dude. Yes, and I can't even tell you what it means to me. It's really cool. And it's not just Rich too, although trust me, it's like I will be on a high for the rest of the day because of that. But it's even just my relationship with Brian or Patrick or the people who trust to make comments in the show. I can't believe, it means the world to me. It really does. All these people. Judy Reed, why are Ariel and Jorge there? I know training, but are they Mayhem athletes? I didn't think so. Yeah, she won. I have that question too. Like, yeah, obviously they're there training, but why? Like, in the most sinister way, like, why allow them in there? They're, if they're like Jorge's Invictus and Ariel's just a regular affiliate. She's a peasant. She just trains at an affiliate. Why are they allowed at Invictus?
At Mayhem?
At Mayhem, yeah.
I think in both cases there was an organic relationship that developed. I know that Rich and Jorge competed against each other in Italy earlier this year.
Oh, that's right.
They also have some
They
similar
hot tub
background.
together. They hot tub together at the hotel.
That's what I was going to say. They have some similar backgrounds in hot tubbing together.
Yes.
No, they both, I think, were baseball players.
Yes.
And I think Rich invited, said, we'd love to have you out here at some point. I know that Jorge is considering pursuing an individual career probably after this season. And as far as I know, there aren't very many. I mean, there may be this year actually, because I think it's possible that Danny Spiegel, maybe Chandler Smith, so Invictus might have some individual athletes, but they've been mostly focused on the team stuff for the last several years. And I think Jorge I don't think he was, it's kind of like what happened with Bar Bend for me. I wasn't necessarily looking for something else, but an opportunity came. I decided to look into it a little bit. I liked what they were offering. I think Jorge found a, good just camaraderie with Rich in Italy. Rich said, hey, come out and check it out, what we're doing sometime. And Jorge said, yeah, I think I'd like to do that. I think it's really wise. It's like when I graduated college, I didn't think about what I was going to do when I graduated college. All of a sudden, college just ended and I had nothing to do. But I have other friends that were much more forward thinking, and they were like 6, 12, 18, 2 years out. They were already having internships that would set themselves up for jobs and trying to create the next path for themselves. So I think Jorge is just here looking at what it's like here. And is this something that I might like to do remotely or here on site when I do make the switch to be an individual competitor? Brittany Weiss is here with him. They were in Wodapalooza together. So she also, I think, has some in the back of her mind, some aspirations of potentially competing as an individual eventually. So maybe she's thinking similarly. And I can't remember exactly what Ariel said.
That would be cool to see Brittany Weiss standing next to
Man, your brain is struggling today.
Oh, it's wrecked. Bale. What's her name? Bale. Christy
Bailey Rail.
God damn it, Bailey Rail. Brittany Weiss and Bailey Rail. Those aren't easy. I'm gonna give myself a pass.
You're massaging that space heater like it's a dog.
It's fucking cold here. It's fucking cold. It was 36 degrees this morning, although it's sunny now, and I'm gonna go to the skate park in like 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
And I've been burning the candle. Greg's in town, so I've been like trying to spend as much time and as late as I can with him, and my mornings with him, and then all day with the kids, and so I just have no sleep. I know I need a carrot. I know.
And you carved out 90 minutes for us. Thank you, Sal.
Yeah.
No,
Well, I only do podcasts when I'm bored. Someone's like, "Hey, Sevan, you shouldn't do podcasts just if you're bored." You asshole! Like, do I?
Was it Kenneth again?
I don't know who said it. They were trying to be nice. I regret it every time I start to like ask for advice from the audience, and they start saying shit like that. No, I don't know if I'm doing that. That's a good question, Bruce. Am I going to Arizona next month? I don't know. Okay, so that was a good answer in regards to Jorge and Ariel, and it's who wouldn't want, if you're a competitor, who wouldn't want to go to Mayhem? It's a friendly place. They're open. They kind of have their doors open after Wodapalooza. It may get a little tighter around there as you get closer to the games. But hey, were you there when Ariel met Hillary Froning? Did you get to see those two first meet? That would be kind of cool to see that.
Hillary was around last night. That was the first time I'd seen her. They had smoked a brisket the previous night and through the day, and so a bunch of people.
I didn't know you could smoke brisket.
Me or in general?
Just in general. I thought you cooked it.
Smoked it, cooked it, whatever they did. And so last night we had a brisket dinner. Hillary was there with some of her friends. I didn't see a initial interaction between her and Ariel. No.
Because I think they'll get along great, marvelously.
Yeah,
I don't know.
but there were a lot of people there. So sorry I didn't see that for you.
Okay. Don't act like you don't love us. I love you guys. I love you guys. Even those you who get under my skin. I know it's I put you there. No one crawls under my skin. I put you there. All right. I have to pee. Maybe that's why I'm not thinking clearly. Brian, any other memories or stories you'd like to tell that you're just like, wow, that was.
I'll write an article just about some of the workouts and the lessons that I learned from them.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it might be a good way to summarize some of the things that happened here. I was impressed with Facundo's in-person coaching. I had not really got a chance to see him do that before. I was impressed with Jake Lockhart, who communicated as often as Facundo did the intent of the workout and the camp as a whole.
I'd love to see Facundo in action, by the way. That's so cool that you mentioned that. Let's talk about that again some other time when I don't have to pee so bad.
Yeah, so those two I thought made a really good team in terms of running and facilitating this. And I was just overall impressed with the entire environment and the way that everyone approached. I mean, there's some challenging things that these guys were doing, girls were doing, and I thought everyone handled it very well and with a lot of grace and hard work. So it was a very positive experience for me.
Ladies and gentlemen, Brian Friend and Patrick Clark to his side, and Facundo and Rich Froning and Scott Vandersloot all made a appearance on this wonderful Saturday afternoon podcast. Thank you. What a special treat we got. We will see you guys soon. Bye-bye.